Frank, just really for those of you who might not be so familiar, could you briefly tell us what opportunity framing workshops are and why they are so important for projects?
Okay, what they are is, and I guess if I were to very simply put, to me, it's a part of the front end of the decision process, and it's a lot about curiosity, not advocacy. It's about trying to figure out what might happen, not just what you want to have happen, but what you might want to have happen. It's a search for value, both the obvious and the hidden value. And the decision approach based on that curiosity is one that's going to really help you fail and learn things about your project. And it's really learning. So we talk a lot about, just the workshop and the mechanics, but I want to at least start with that framework, that it's about curiosity and really wondering what might happen to inform you. A lot of decisions are framed around symptoms, not opportunities, problems, not solutions. And in particular, most decision processes start with an answer. There's already some really smart person in the room that knows exactly what to do. And the whole exercise, and I've seen this done so often with people, is an exercise not in decision analysis, but it's in decision justification. And you go through all of the tools. You'll go through framing workshops. You'll see decision hierarchies, strategy tables, tornado diagrams, decision trees, everything, all reverse engineered unintentionally. It looks good. It looks just like textbook decision analysis and framing, but it's all designed so that at the end you can say to the boss, see, you were right after all. And the boss feels really good about that. And that's just nonsense. And so framing opportunity, I think the first thing you need to think about, sort of framing opportunities and how to go about that, is how to break that system. And there's no real secret to it. I think a lot of it is getting the right people in the room, and it's helping them understand that they've got to put this figure, right? What is this project really about? What decisions am I really making here? What am I trying to discover? What are the opportunities that I might be missing? How big could this be? How different could this be? And then what do I want to focus on? When you think about framing, I always like to tell people if you think about framing, why do you even frame it? Why do we call it framing? And the question I like to ask is just say, let's say that you go to Paris, you go to the Louvre, and you walk through the Louvre, and you see all sorts of absolutely beautiful paintings. I mean, the Mona Lisa is there, and there are all these great works of art, and you loved it. And you walk out, and I come up to you, and I say, hey, you enjoyed the Louvre? Yeah. What color were the walls? And people look and say, huh? What color were the walls? You spent all day walking around looking at the walls. What color were they? I have no idea. I said, that's because they're outside the frame. You looked at the frame said, look here. This is where it's at. Look here. And I said, you have no idea what was around, even though probably 90% of your vision field was filled with wall. You have no idea. And so framing is really around focusing, looking at this opportunity and figuring out what's the picture, what's the wall, what am I going to ignore, and what am I going to really dig into in my decision process? Because if you frame something too big, the proverbial world hunger, you're going to fail. If you narrow it too much, then you're going to miss a huge amount of value. If you go look at the Mona Lisa and you just look at her smile and you don't see anything else, well, you haven't seen that whole picture. You haven't gotten the whole value of looking at the Mona Lisa. And so framing is very deliberate to say, how big should it be? How small should it be? And the process should help you figure out how to focus on that. So did that come close to answering your question? I'm never sure. Tell me what I missed, and I'll make up something else.
No, I get it. It is really what you just said for me. about opportunity identification and really focusing on solving the right problem as opposed to justifying someone else's decision. What's the roadmap? And I can really, as a framing facilitator, I've been facilitating for over 12 years, I can really relate to that. It's just, it really comes up in the way of project executive engaging with a framing facilitator. When those companies that are already experienced with opportunity framing, they can push too quickly, they can jump
Yes.
into conclusions too quickly. And so really the next question is, what is your role? So what is your role as a framing facilitator? Especially it's important for those companies that might sit on the fence whether framing is for them or not. So they need to understand, at what point do you usually come as a framing facilitator? What point do you want to come? And then what is your role before, during, and after?